Before Columbus ever set foot in the Caribbean, the Americas were home to over 50 million people. They built cities larger than London. They developed trade networks spanning thousands of miles. They created governments, religions, and technologies that lasted centuries. And yet, most history classes skip right past them. Today, we are going back to where American history actually begins. This is APUSH Unit 1, Topic 1. By 1491, somewhere between 50 and 100 million people lived in the Americas. For context, Europe's entire population was about 70 million. So no, this was not some empty wilderness waiting to be discovered. That is one of the biggest myths in American history. The Americas had everything from small hunter-gatherer bands to enormous empires that rivaled anything in Europe or Asia. In Mesoamerica, the Aztec Empire controlled around 5 to 6 million people from their capital Tenochtitlan. This was a city built on a lake, connected to the mainland by massive causeways, with towering temples, bustling markets, and stone aqueducts. When the Spanish first saw it, they could not believe their eyes. It was larger than any city in Europe at the time. Further south, the Inca Empire stretched over 2,500 miles along the Andes Mountains. They connected their empire with a massive road system and kept records using knotted strings called quipu. No written language, just knots. And it worked. In North America, the picture was just as complex, but it looked completely different depending on where you were. The environment shaped everything: how people ate, how they organized, how their cultures developed. This concept is called environmental determinism, and the AP exam loves it. Let us start in the Southwest. Groups like the Pueblo peoples built cliff dwellings carved right into canyon walls at places like Mesa Verde. They developed irrigation systems to farm the desert, and they grew 3 crops together that changed everything: maize, beans, and squash. Known as the Three Sisters, this is probably the most important agricultural innovation in the Americas. Maize especially is central to APUSH. As it spread northward over thousands of years, it fundamentally transformed every society it reached. Bigger populations, permanent settlements, more complex governments. Write this down: 3 sisters, maize, beans, and squash, grown together as a complementary system. It will be on the exam. Now, the Pacific Northwest. Peoples like the Chinook and Tlingit lived in one of the richest environments on the continent. Salmon was so abundant that they developed complex societies without any agriculture at all. That is an important point for the exam. You did not need farming to build a complex society if your environment was rich enough. They are also famous for potlatch ceremonies. These were elaborate gift-giving events where leaders gave away enormous amounts of wealth to establish their status. The more you gave away, the more powerful you were. Completely opposite to how Europeans thought about wealth: the Great Plains. Before horses arrived with the Spanish centuries later, plains peoples like the Lakota and Cheyenne were semi-nomadic. They hunted massive bison herds on foot and did some farming. The horse would completely transform their way of life, but that is a story for a future video. Now, the Eastern Woodlands. This is where the AP exam focuses most heavily, so pay attention. The Mississippian culture built one of the most impressive settlements in all of North America, Cahokia. Located near modern-day St. Louis, this was a city of enormous earthen mounds. The largest one, Monk's Mound, was bigger at its base than the Great Pyramid of Giza. Let that sink in. At its peak, around 1100 CE, Cahokia had a population of up to 40,000 people. That made it the largest settlement north of Mexico. Larger than London at the time, larger than most European cities. And it was built entirely from earth, wood, and human labor, now the Iroquois Confederacy. This comes up on practically every AP exam, so know it well. Sometime in the 1400s, 5 nations that had been fighting each other for generations decided to come together. the Mohawk, the Oneida, the Onondaga, the Cayuga, and the Seneca. They created a political union governed by something called the Great Law of Peace. A council of 50 sachems, or chiefs, made all major decisions through debate and consensus, not voting. Consensus. Everyone had to agree. But here's what makes this really interesting and really exam relevant. Women held enormous power in Iroquois society. Clan mothers selected the chiefs. Clan mothers could also remove them if they were not performing. Property and lineage were traced through the mother's line, not the father's. This is called a matrilineal system, and it is a sharp contrast to the patriarchal societies of Europe at the time. The AP exam loves testing this comparison. Some historians have argued the Iroquois Confederacy influenced the framers of the U.S. Constitution decades later. That claim is debated among historians. But what is not debated is that this was one of the most sophisticated systems of representative governance anywhere in the world, and it existed long before Europeans arrived. One thing that surprises students is how connected all of these societies were. They were not isolated. They had massive trade networks moving goods across the entire continent. Obsidian, a volcanic glass used for tools and weapons, from the Rocky Mountains has been found at archaeological sites on the East Coast. That is over 2,000 miles away. Copper from the Great Lakes showed up thousands of miles south. Shells from the Gulf Coast were traded deep into the interior. And the most important thing that moved through these networks was maize. Maize was first domesticated in Mesoamerica around 5000 BCE. Over thousands of years, it spread northward through these exact trade routes, reaching the eastern woodlands by around 200 CE. This single crop transformed every society it touched. It enabled larger populations. Larger populations meant permanent settlements. Permanent settlements meant more complex political and social structures. Remember this chain for the exam. Agriculture leads to surplus. Surplus leads to settlement. Settlement leads to social complexity. That pattern explains almost everything about how civilizations develop, and it started right here. All right, let us lock in what you need to know. The College Board wants 4 things from this topic. Number 1, diversity. Native American societies were diverse. There was no single Native American experience. Geography created radically different cultures from the Pacific Northwest to the eastern woodlands. Number 2, complexity. These societies had governments, trade networks, agricultural systems, and social hierarchies. Do not make the mistake of thinking pre-contact America was primitive. The exam is specifically designed to test whether you understand this. Number 3, maize. The spread of maize-based agriculture was the single most important development in pre-contact North America. Agriculture leads to surplus, leads to settlement, leads to complexity. That chain is your answer to almost any Period 1 essay question. Number 4, the Iroquois Confederacy. Know its structure, know the matrilineal element, know its significance as representative governance before European contact. If you can explain these 4 points clearly in an essay, you're in strong shape for any Period 1 question on the AP exam. That is Topic 1 of Unit 1 done. Next video, we are covering European exploration and the Columbian Exchange. That is the moment everything changed for the Americas forever. If this helped you, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss the rest of this series. We are covering every single unit, every single topic. 44 videos. By the time we are done, you will be completely ready for that exam. Drop a comment if there is a specific topic you want us to cover next. See you in the next one.